Hi there, I'm Ann Murphy. I'm the founder and CEO of AI Empowered Fundraiser Group. And today I'm going to introduce you to the nerdy girl prompting technique, including creating a universal voice profile so that when you're working with large language models like ChatGPT and you're trying to create output that sounds like you, it actually does sound like you. And if it's created to sound like somebody else, it sounds like them, or your brand, it sounds like your brand. If you aren't already over here, I don't know what you're doing with your life. So grab this QR code or put this URL in. I have trainings every Thursday and Friday, and I upload those to this website. I also include lots of my resources. You've got event invitations, recordings, replays, you name it. If it's AI and it's a free resource, it's here. All right, so take a snapshot or input the URL there. Here's the framework that I teach people to use when they're not going to be super specific. If the project that they're working on isn't for like production value, production quality content, if it's a conversation that you're having with a large language model, if it's inconsequential, it's just this, right? You're collaborating with the model, you're going to organize your prompts, you're going to give it a rundown of context and examples. You're going to provide explicit instructions, but really the mentality here is you're working with ChatGPT like you would a super smart intern, right? This is your thought partner and you're just in ongoing conversation and you don't worry too much about the format. That said, when you're ready to get higher quality content and higher quality thought partnership, it's important that you use a structured prompting framework as well as a couple of specific prompts if you want something like a universal voice profile. So that's where the nerdy girl prompting technique comes in. And this is not news to anyone watching this, I'm sure, but this is how working with ChatGPT actually works. So it's the large language models sit on top of the publicly available internet from the past 40 or so years. Okay? ChatGPT, Claude, Meta AI, Poe, Pi, you name it. Lots of different options for which large language model you use. I tend to talk about ChatGPT in my programs the most because I really believe in getting very acquainted with one ecosystem. And I choose the OpenAI system because it has so many different features that I could spend my whole life learning and still there would be more for me. So I'm almost always referring to ChatGPT inside the OpenAI ecosystem. Okay, and then the prompt that we make, which is the instructions, the dialogue, the requests, or the questions, that's what gets us the output, the text, the image, the data, the video, the voice, right? And as we go, either we like what we're getting or we don't like what we're getting. We're going to spend a lot more time in the zone of liking what we get when we use this format. So when we dive in with a project, it's you're assigning ChatGPT a role. You're saying you are a seasoned fundraising professional, right? You are a content marketing expert. You are the chief of police of the largest metropolitan area in Indiana, etc. Then you're going to give the task. What's the project that you're working on together? You're going to give details, more details about that and context. So, for an example might be, let's say you're working on acknowledgement letters and you need a new version of your acknowledgement letters for when donors make gifts. So you're saying you are a donor relations expert. Today we're going to work together on a new template for our gift acknowledgement letters. Historically, these have been more like a receipt. Going forward, we would like them to be more like a thank you that also includes gift information. for people's taxes. You may say, our interest is in people feeling like we see them and appreciate their act of generosity. We want them to know that we know exactly what they wanted their money to be allocated for, right? So specifics and context. And then you might provide an example. Here's an example of a gift acknowledgement that resonated with us, or that was successful with a different donor group, or. And then some notes like, please share 5 or 6 different examples with me, or before we continue, please ask me 3 questions to help zero in on some of the details that you might need for this project, or send me the output in bullet points, or, right? Lots of little additional instructions in there. So role, task, specifics, content, examples, notes. Now, I'm not going to go through each one of these because I'm going to give you this deck, but here's more information about each of these parts of a prompt. And don't go overboard. Of course, it's going to be very tempting to feel like you need to do all the things, but remember that what we're doing here by being more formal with our prompts is we're setting ourselves up for success, but it's not like a one-shot deal, right? You're going to get the output and then you're going to go into an iteration process. So we don't need to become completely fixated on every aspect of a prompt, but what we are doing is we're using a structure, we're sticking to it pretty closely, and we're doing the best that we can to position ourselves for success. So there's the overall role, task, specifics, context, examples, notes. And then remember, we're going to get the output, and then we get to decide, do we like it? Do we not like it? And we're going to go into reprompting. So after we use a really good prompt and we get the output, now we're in an iterative process with ChatGPT. So maybe we're going up to the top and editing that prompt, right? Maybe we're just hitting the little regenerate button. Maybe we're going back and forth, right? So when you are working on a prompt that you think that's for a project that you do again and again, my recommendation is always go back up to that initial prompt and edit it. So you're going to write that prompt, you're going to get the output, and in that first deal, you're going to see, okay, here's an area where I could have written that prompt differently. My recommendation is to go up and edit that prompt. Okay? Sometimes, however, your output is like just a little bit off, right? And you're just like, I don't know. Let's see. We seem to be in the ballpark. A couple little things are off. Maybe just hit the little regenerate button. Okay, so that will totally work wonders sometimes. The other way is you might want to be going back and forth with ChatGPT. You might be like, this is great. We've got a few upgrades. Here are a couple of things that we need to change, and go and editing in that way. Okay. And then we have to accept that we are always going to need to fix our content. My recommendation is typically we want to take that output and we want to go and put it over in like a Google Doc or Word doc or something, and we want to start editing it by hand. My recommendation is to keep it inside ChatGPT and just be pinging back and forth with ChatGPT to get that content up to the level that you want it to be. And here are some of the things that you can say. Okay. In this case, with editing, you can use, wording that's like framed in the negative. So like, stop doing this, don't do this. Typically, we only want to use things that are framed in the positive when we're working with ChatGPT or any other large language model. So here are some examples of things that you can do to improve upon that writing. Okay. So that's our general nerdy girl prompting technique flow. And now, because we have an interest in ensuring that our content sounds like us, I'm going to show you 2 different ways to create a universal voice profile. One is very simple. you're going to use the Nerdy Girl prompting technique. You're going to start up here and you're going to say, you are a linguistics professor. You are a content, let's see, what are some of the options I have up here? You are a linguist. You're a college writing professor. Okay. And you're going to say, here's the project. Please help me with this, blah, 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 blah. But all you're doing is you're saying to to ChatGPT to work on this project from the perspective of someone with all of the knowledge that a linguist or a content marketer or a college writing professor would have. So you're automatically going to get you're going to say, describe this piece of writing as though you were a college writing professor. Okay, super easy peasy. Say, I have these 3 writing samples. Maybe they're, I typically have a couple of different types of emails that I write. I've got my boring ones. I've got my persuasive ones. I've got my email newsletter. Some of them, the ones that are just sort of customer servicey, I may take 4 or 5 of those and say, can you please describe this writing from the point of view of a college writing professor? I would write it in a proper prompt format, but you get the gist. Just pretty chill. In order to create a more durable universal voice profile, this is what I would actually use though. And the way that I do this is I open up ChatGPT and I put this prompt in there. I say, you are a, I'm going to actually include the prompt for you, but you are a ... linguistic expert, something. And then today I need your help. I'm creating a universal voice profile. You're going to analyze the sample text below using the following 10 linguistic techniques to create a comprehensive, systematic, objective, and precise writing style profile unique to that sample. Okay? So basically, this is the prompt. You just need to put the role at the top. Then you're going to put your sample text underneath that. So let me show you what that will look like. Okay, so I am going to get and this is what I'm going to give you, this universal voice prompt. Sorry, I always say universal voice prompt. What I really mean is universal voice profile. Okay, so there's the prompt. It says, you are a linguistics expert who is an expert in HSC English Common Model and an expert in study of modern language. I'm not even going to worry that it says you are an expert who is an expert because, the point is it's an expert. It's perfectly fine. You'll be sampling the text provided using 10 parameters for the purpose of creating a comprehensive, systematic, objective, precise writing profile. Okay, so it's going to use all of these things to review sample text that I give it. Now, I would take, like I said, let's say I have 3 or 4 examples of the kind of customer servicey type of emails. Let's say I'm writing this for somebody else and let's say it's a dean and the editor's note from the alumni magazine. I would take maybe 3 or 4 of those and say, here are 3 or 4 examples. Describe this voice, create a voice profile out of it. I might say something like, maybe take 3 or 4 blog posts or social media posts and have it analyze that. I'll give you an example that I'll do right now is rather than giving it 3 or 4 samples of my writing, just out of the interest of time and to show you a kind of a different approach, you could have it analyze the content of a website. So I'm going to say the sample text is here, www.empoweredfundraiser.com. Okay. So let's see. Did it truly, did it really go to my web? I didn't see it. It didn't tell me. Did you go to my website? It didn't say that it did. Oh, you know why? Oh my goodness. It took it from its memory because now ChatGPT remembers things. So let's see. It's doing weird things because of the memory thing. I'm going to say just clear ChatGPT's memory. All right, this is fun. Okay. Let me go back and edit this. Sample text. I'm going to say, whoopsie. If none of that made sense to you, don't even worry about it. But essentially, ChatGPT has just implemented this feature where it remembers things, but it like remembers the most random things, and what it's remembering is a demo that I did about about universal voice profiles, and so it kind of took on a mind of its own. Okay. Say review what? Review this website and give me the profile. Let's see what it does. This is fun. Okay, it said it searched the site. Analysis of empowered fundraiser website's writing style. Sentence length and structure. Sentences are generally concise with a mix of short and medium lengths. This structure enhances readability and engagement. Target audience is clearly nonprofit professionals. It's pragmatic. Okay. Phonological. The rhythm is smooth, aided by a mix of sentence lengths and the use of active voice. Stress patterns focus on key motivational words or phrases. So this makes sense for a website, right? And let's say I was about to take a new chunk of information to create a similar website. Like this one is for my regular consulting and coaching practice, but I do need to build a website for my AI work. I could take this and feed in my messages and have it, create a draft of what would need to go on my AI website if I wanted it to mirror my existing website. I hope that makes sense. Generally speaking, what I have found is with like the state of universal voice profiles is that they work really well for very voicey language. If a website is kind of generic, you're going to get wording back in your profile that just indicates that it's kind of generic. And the next thing that you go to use that profile on isn't going to be all that much more specific because you've started with content that's not that unique. So at times you may need to tune into, is the voice that I'm emulating particularly unique, right? So think about that. Sometimes we're trying to emulate a voice that's not unique. That's harder. But when you have it analyze, 3 or 4 different writing samples that are fairly voicey, then the next time you go to write for that person or write for yourself, you can use that voice profile. And here's how you would do that. So I'm going to say, here's my voice profile. And I'm going to say, now using this profile, draft let's just see, draft a website for AI empowered fundraiser. Okay, so here's the profile. It's just the stuff that's up above here. Draft a website. I will tell you details at the end. Okay, so a few details for the website. We teach, we coach nonprofit and higher ed leaders and fundraisers on how to use AI responsibly. We do upskilling for staff, one-on-one coaching for exec leaders, and we create bespoke solutions using AI and automation. I don't know. We're going to see. We'll see what happens. Will you please send me some copy for my website? If it gets close, I'll be impressed because these indicators are not like super specific. Are you ready to revolutionize your fundraising? AI-empowered fundraiser helps nonprofit and higher education leaders leverage AI responsibly, maximize your potential with our upskilling programs, one-on-one coaching, and bespoke AI solutions. Okay. All right. It's doing what it's supposed to do. Ready to elevate your fundraising with AI. Contact us today to learn more about our services. I'm going to hit regenerate just because I don't think that was super great. Unlock the potential of AI in your nonprofit. We empower leaders. Okay. You're seeing how it's coming up with a little bit of the voice paragraph, the voice profile. It's not great. I'm going to say vocabulary is professional yet accessible. Syntax, grammar, and punctuation are precise. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's website copy, so it's kind of central themes are empowerment, professional development, success, and fundraising. The rhythm is smooth, mix of sentence lengths, and use of active voice. Stress patterns focus on key motivational words and phrases. Strategically crafted to motivate and engage its target audience. Okay. Unlock the potential of AI. Yeah, it's accurate. It's just not quite, it's not like that impressive because it's using website copy to create website copy. But if you're using your own content or a bunch of somebody else's content, you're going to see how this works. So I hope that helps. That's how you use the Nerdy Girl prompting technique to come up with a really good voice profile that you can use to create content in your own voice, the voice of someone else, or of your brand. And I hope that's helpful. And don't forget to check back to the deck and to grab the prompt that I'm giving you and to check our website for all of those resources. All right, I hope this is helpful. Bye-bye.